everyone and welcome back to my channel. So I was recently asked by one of you to put together the viral makeup trend which is called latte makeup. So this is my take on the latte makeup trend specifically for my skin tone, light to medium skin tone people, even deeper skin tone. Well, you know what, any skin tone can wear this. It's just completely up to you as to the kind of tones of the shades that you choose to use. So this is very much out of my comfort zone because I did a little bit of research. I was like, right, there's a lot of cream contouring, which I generally don't tend to do, a lot of concealer all over the face rather than foundation. I used hardly any foundation at all, no fake eyelashes, no dark black winged out eyeliner. Even my tight line eyeliner is brown. So this was really fun for me to do and I actually absolutely love it. It's all about the skin, all about bronzy, glowy looking skin. I'm a matte girl because I have textured skin, but I still think that I managed to make it work. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like, comment, make sure you subscribe to my channel and enjoy the video. Bye. So we're going to start off by defining the base by using this sleek makeup contour kit in medium and using one of the mid brown shades to basically go into the areas where I want to define my face, but in a more subtle way because that's what cream contouring generally tends to do. So I'm going around my brow bone and then creating some cheekbones on my bare skin and just defining the face. I'm just roughly applying it at the moment before I decide to blend it out afterwards, but this is just to kind of give you guys an idea of how the cream contouring is going to help the overall look. So I'm going to go around the sides of my nose as I normally do, just to slightly narrow it and make it look a little bit more symmetrical. And then I am going in with some concealer. I've got two of the Huda Beauty GloWish concealers. The first shade is light medium, which is pretty much the same color as my actual skin tone. So I'm just going under my under eye area as well as under the contour and doing a bit of spot concealing because I'm not going to be using foundation, which is what I'm used to have a more full coverage look. Then I'm using the shade called Fair Light, which you can see is a little bit light for me, but thankfully it blends in with the other shade to create a perfect match for my face. Then I'm just using a damp beauty blender to blend it all in. Now I'm just going to use that brush to blend the cream contour out. It's better to do it this way around rather than the concealer first because this is the darker shade and you don't want one to kind of overtake the other one. So again, I'm just blending it out, everything that I'd applied previously, so that I can next go in with the Huda Beauty GloWish Multidew Skin Tint. My shade is in number 2, Fair Light, and I'm basically applying it to the areas where I haven't really put that much of the other product. If you watch closely, you'll see that I'm being very careful in where I'm placing it and where I'm blending it. I'm basically applying it to all the areas I didn't apply the cream contour, but at the same time blending into it, but very subtly so that you can see the cream contour underneath, but it's not so obvious and harsh. This just helps that whole kind of no makeup kind of way of doing your makeup because it's all about the skin having a glowy, soft, dewy looking skin. And I'm just blending in all those areas. As you can see now, my face is looking very sticky and shiny because trust me, it is. This is why I'm a matte person. Out my comfort zone again. Anyway, next up we're using the Huda Beauty Easy Bake Loose Setting Powder. My shade is in Banana Bread and I'm just using a powder puff to set my under eye area because it had started to crease. So obviously you have to make sure that you set any areas which have got kind of an emollient product on it and then just leave it on for a couple of seconds before I brush it off because I didn't want to like bake it for too long. Next up, I'm going to be doing my eyebrows. I'm using my favorite Maybelline Express Brow Ultra Slim Pencil in medium brown. Now, I'm doing it like I normally would do, But this time round, I'm not defining my eyebrows with concealer, which I do to sharpen them. Now, a lot of people have kind of like gone into that whole bushy brow trend for this. That's not me. So I'm just basically doing my eyebrows as I always do and just defining them. But then I'm going to leave them kind of natural-ish by not applying any kind of concealer. So you can see that it still looks like my eyebrows, which is basically what it is. Now for the eyes, I'm using Too Faced Born This Way, the Natural Nudes Complexion Inspired Eyeshadow Palette. And I am just blending in this brown shade backwards and forwards in the crease to kind of define that area. Then next up, I'm using the shade called Truffle. And this happens to be the deepest shade in the palette. And as you can see, I'm very, very generously applying it to the outer V of my eyes. And then I'm just basically dragging it inwards, and I'm not trying to create like a V shape. I'm just trying to create some dimension to give it a little bit of a smoke. Then I'm using the initial brush I used in my crease to blend it all out, because I really want to diffuse it and make it look quite soft, because obviously the aim of this look is to be very bronzy, glowy, summery and that sort of thing. Next up, I'm using this Too Faced Scattered Light Glitter Eyeshadow in the shade Ray. I absolutely love this, you guys. This is one of my favorite glitter eyeshadows because it gives a real nice wet look. Plus the shade is like this gorgeous, perfect, taupey kind of bronze, great for all skin tones. And I'm very generously applying it all over the lid. Next up, I'm going to be using this Korean makeup brand, which is called RiRe. This is their Luxe Gel Eyeliner in the shade Choco Brown. It's actually very, very creamy, and it doesn't budge, doesn't move. It really sticks to the eyes. So I'm using it on my waterline as well as on my lash line as well. And obviously it's going to create a fairly harsh line. So I'm next using the shade called Maple in the Too Faced palette. And then I'm using a pencil brush just to blend it out. So you've got that darkness still of the eyeliner, but at the same time you've also got kind of the softness of the eyeshadow. Then I'm going on top of my eyelashes. I'm not winging it out because that's not part of this kind of look. I'm so used to winging out my eyes because of the shape of my eyes, but I'm just applying it on top and then using that same brush with no extra eyeshadow on, just to kind of blend it out and soften it and diffuse it. Now I'm curling my eyelashes and I'm using the what's the one? It's the Iconic London Mascara, and I'm just basically coating my eyelashes 100,000,000 times. I don't know why people say, oh, this is just 2 coats of mascara. No, we apply like 1,000,000 coats to our eyelashes so that everything looks defined and quite a subtle kind of look to the eyes. And then I'm going in with the same mascara on my bottom eyelashes as well. The next shade I'm using from the eyeshadow palette is this shimmery shade called Shimmering Pearl, and I'm applying it to my tear duct area just to kind of brighten up that area, make it look a little bit more alive, a little bit more awake in contrast to the deeper shades. And that's it, my eyes are done. Now let's go back to the contouring. I'm using the deeper shade of that Sleek palette, and I'm going for the whole way that what's her name, Hailey Bieber, she did it like this, by applying cream contour on top of the cheeks. It meshes and blends in to the contour underneath. Bear in mind, none of this has been set either yet. So I'm going in not with a heavy hand, as you can see. I'm just going in very slowly and applying bit by bit up until it's at kind of the intensity that I want it to have. And then with that same shade, I'm basically just redefining the nose, any areas that may have got some concealer on it or any of that skin tint. I'm just going back in, but as you can see, I'm not going in as messily as I was before. I'm going in with a much more more defined hand, if that makes sense, just to carve out all those areas that I generally like to contour. And then brushing off the brush and then just completely blending it out so that it's exactly the way that I need it to look, perfectly defined. And now I'm using the same Huda Beauty powder and I'm starting to set those areas that need to be set. Bear in mind, I've got so much cream on my face that the powder is actually struggling to sit on my face properly. But at the same time, I do want to retain that kind of a dewy look. So that's why I'm only really using the powder heavily in areas which I want properly set before I leave it on for a couple of seconds and then brush it all off. Now we're proper going in old school, you guys. You remember the Cuffer Effects custom enhancing drops? My shade is in Sunlight. This to this day is still the most intense liquid highlighter I've ever owned, and I'm applying it with a brush before I use my fingers to kind of diffuse it and blend it out. Bear in mind, I have not set the areas underneath. There's still cream contour on there, so the best way to do this is to make sure that that area is not set, so the two liquids kind of blend into each other without it becoming patchy, which is what can happen when you mix a liquid on top of a powder. And then I'm just going in with my Cupid's bow, as I always do, and now I'm going to start setting things. So I'm using the Hourglass Ambient Lighting bronzer in the shade Radiant Bronze Light. I'm actually going in with a very, very light hand. It's just to basically set the cream contour underneath so that nothing moves, and it gives it that little bit of extra shimmer. Now to set the rest of my face, I'm using the NYX HD Finishing Powder in Banana. I'm actually going in with a very, very light hand. You probably can't tell, but you should notice that my face still looks dewy. This is just to stop anything sliding around, but at the same time, the glowiness, the contouring and everything is still managing to kind of peek through. And for my brow bone, I'm using this brand called Twinkle and Pop in their glittering eye stick, and I'm just applying it to my brow bone, as it is obviously an emollient product, before I blend it out with my finger just to give it a nice little extra touch. Now we're going in with the lips. We're using the NYX Smooth Whip Matte Lip Cream in the shade Latte Foam. Absolutely love, love, love these lipsticks, and I absolutely adore this shade. It's such a pretty autumnal latte, obviously related color. So I'm just applying this all over my lips generously. And then to finish off the look, I'm using the Fenty Beauty Fenty Glow lip balm thingy, lip gloss. Very gently applying it, not heavily at all, just in the center of my lips. And then just patting them together, and voila, we're done. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like, comment, make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you all soon. Bye!